because we've got some great stuff to talk about this morning. We're going to hear from Tom Salmon, who a lot of you will know, who works, he's got a kind of side hustle working for the Arts Council, as well as being a very gifted musician and entrepreneur and producer himself. And he's very much in charge, one of the people in charge of a project that is supporting grassroots music across England for the Arts Council. We're going to find a bit more about that. And I suspect quite a lot of people will watch the recording of this call as well. So we are, of course, recording this call, and Chris has already pressed record, so all is good. So we're going to hear from Tom about that. Then we're going to just hear we thought we'd do a monthly update on See It to Be It, which is the project that CACN is driving forward these days. So Kate's going to give us a little update on where that's got to, what's going on, and how you might be able to get involved. So we'll listen to that. We're also just going to do a poll of how old everybody is on this call. It's going to be anonymous, but we're going to do it over the next few calls because we want to do a baseline of what's the average age of people attending this call. I can see Chris Dennett is smiling already. He's going to lie through his teeth as to how old he is. And then we're just going to, perhaps in a couple of years' time, when See It to Be It's coming to a conclusion, we'll see whether, for example, the Friday calls have changed at all as far as the age of people attending that is concerned. So we're going to ask you for your age halfway through, and then we're going to hear from Lauren and Phil if he joins the call. Not Phil Hewitson, another Phil.
He's coming.
He's on his way. Great. Who helped run Signal, which those of you that haven't been to Signal, Cooke Studios, Abbey Road, Barrow, is a magnificent place. It's just had a big load of money chucked at it and a beautiful redevelopment. There was a grand opening at the end on the same day that Big Meat was in Barrow last Thursday, which probably kept Lauren and the other Phil awake at night for many nights beforehand. But it was a magnificent evening, and there's two beautiful exhibitions that are opening. Also, if you're a fan of the Sankey Photography Archive, which of course is all online, there's some beautiful Sankey images on the wall, which I'm hoping are going to be permanently on the wall. I don't know if they are or not. But those pictures of ships being launched and submarines and just day-to-day life in Barrow in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, something like that, when the Sankeys were around, the two Sankey brothers. So anyway, go to Signal if you get a chance next time you're in Barrow, if you're not in Barrow already, because it's really well worth seeing what they've done at Signal and what they've done with Cooke Studios. Of course, Theatre Factory is based there as well. Really nice to see, what's the name of the lady who runs Theatre Factory? Rachel, nice to chat to Rachel last week as well. Anyway, that is the plan. Hello, Laura. That is the plan for this morning. Just cultural highlights for me this week. I went to York City to watch Carlisle get beaten 5-0 on a miserable Tuesday evening, along with 1,500 other Cumbrians. That was probably the biggest cultural event that took place in Cumbria this week.
It didn't take place in Cumbria.
But technically didn't take place in Cumbria. But then Sarah Hall last night was a delight. So kind of two ends of the spectrum for me this week. Right, without further ado, I'm going to cross to Mr. Tom Salmon, who is going to tell us about a great project that he's involved in for Arts Council England. So, Tom, we have your slides ready. Would you like just to introduce yourself, first of all, Tom?
Yeah, I can do. So, hello, I'm Tom Salmon. So I'm from Whitehaven. I'm based in West Cumbria still. I've been working at the Arts Council for about 2 years now on a part-time basis. I've got 2 part-time roles now, but I'm talking to you with my Supporting Grassroots music hat on today. And a little bit of, I guess, background from me. I have about 15 years experience in the grassroots music sector. So I think Tom mentioned before, as a performer, event producer and broadcaster. So I spent a lot of my time presenting specialist music programs on BBC, and also touring live events for BBC as well around the country. And then I also run my own promotions business, curating lineups for Cumbrian events and helping Cumbrian events with environmentally sustainable event solutions as well. I've worked as a building manager in the live music sector. And for those who listen to the Arts and Culture, Cumbria Arts and Culture Network's Behind the Scenery podcast, you might have heard me on there as well. So yeah, happy to be here. Thank you to Tom and Kate and everyone for having us.
A man of many talents, a man of many talents. Right, let's get that first slide up. And Tom, talk us through the Grassroots project.
Yeah, great, thank you. So just to start, yeah, my name is Tom Salmon. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a white man in my early 30s. I've got short brown comb back hair and with a bit of facial stubble as well. And I'm presenting from my home office in West Cumbria this morning. So, Supporting Grassroots Music, it's a fund that's been running for a few years now. And if you just go to the next slide, because I have just pretty much introduced myself, which was what the first slide was all about. So we can move straight on to the next slide if you want. Oh, hold on. You've disappeared. There we go. Thank you. So today I'm here to speak specifically about the Supporting Grassroots Music Fund, and that's the content that we'll explore in the presentation. So the Supporting Grassroots Music Fund, or as you can see in brackets, we refer to it sometimes as SGM. So for the purposes of the presentation as well, I will be saying SGM. So that's what I'll be meaning. So it was the fund was jointly funded by the Department of Culture, Media and Sport. So we abbreviate that again with DCMS, and National Lottery. And the funding is currently available up to March 2026. So you can apply for awards of up to £1,000 to £40,000 for projects with up to 3 years in length. And the fund is specifically open to grassroots music venues, promoters, festivals, recording studios, rehearsal studios, and sector bodies. So the fund is there to act as a catalyst for organisations in the sector to try something new as a way of developing their talent pipeline or developing new audiences. So I'm not here today to say, hey, come on, we've got this big pot of money, everyone dive in. It like all programs, it is very competitive. So we get a lot of good applications, more than that can be funded at one time, and it can be disheartening to be unsuccessful if people on the Qualified Arts Council unsuccessful results before, then it can be disappointing. So I just wanted to set expectations, although it is a fund specifically for those sector types, those sector organisations that I've just mentioned. It is still very competitive. But my role is to be here today and to speak to people, help people understand the fund, and to help give them a steer and answer any supporting grassroots music questions that they might have. We can talk about priorities as well, because Arts Council do have some priorities for who they specifically would like to fund. So additionally, later, if you are a promoter or you know grassroots music promoters, I'll be telling you about a much smaller fund specifically for promoters. It's called the Early Career Promote Fund, which is operated by the PRS Foundation on behalf of Arts Council England and DCMS as well. So next slide, please. So we get asked this question quite a lot, and rightly so. What is grassroots music? So for SGM, grassroots music is places and spaces where new and emerging artists perform. It's where careers in music are started, where new audiences are developed, or where communities of fans and music lovers are built. So maybe you're thinking of a festival or a venue or a promoter, as you're hearing me describe our definition of grassroots music. Next slide, please. Thank you. So with supporting grassroots music, this fund is very sector focused. So think economic impact, think industry level engagement. So as I've just mentioned, the fund is a catalyst for organisations and individuals to develop new audiences, the talent pipelines, both on and off stage. So it's not just the performers on the stage getting new opportunities to perform to bigger audiences, for instance. It's also those lighting technicians, those sound technicians, those festival organisers that might be developing their skills. And the fund also has a focus on developing organisational sustainability. So that could mean making a building or a venue more accessible to potential users. But I'll speak a little bit more about that in a little bit. One thing just with this particular fund, working with children and young people, something to bear in mind if you are considering a supporting grassroots music application or speaking to other people who you think might be suitable for an application. When it comes to children and young people, because this fund is looking at having an instant impact on the grassroots music sector, we are looking at ages 16 plus, as this is a likely age where individuals will start taking their steps on towards a grassroots music career. So any projects that are focused on children and young people or community music making or introductions to music, that should be more focused on a national lottery project grant application as opposed to supporting grassroots music. And I think I mentioned it just briefly, but economic impact. So this fund is about supporting the sector. So do consider what positive impact your project might have on the local, regional, or national economy as well. Next slide, please. So here are some things that this fund doesn't support or won't support. So international activity, work that won't reach people in England, things that have already happened, individual bands, artists, agents, and business running costs. So I'll go into those in a little bit more detail. So basically, for the top two, Arts Council England want to see benefits to those living in England. So anything outside of that, Arts Council wouldn't look to support for this particular fund. And the fund we can't fund anything that has already happened. So make sure your project, if you are designing a project, that it starts after the date you'll get your decision. And I've got a table to show you very shortly, an exciting table, not really exciting, but a table to show you shortly just about when you'll get your decision dates if you do apply to supporting grassroots music. The likes of bands, artists, agents, record labels, managers, they cannot apply to supporting grassroots music, but there are other funding programs available such as National Lottery Project Grants and developing your creative practice. We are talking about music today, but if anyone would like any more information on the other funds I've just mentioned, then I'll provide you with them. I'll just share my email at the end. One thing to consider though, if you are a band or an artist, that you might indirectly benefit from a supporting grassroots music project if that project includes giving new artists and grassroots music artists opportunities to perform on a stage, for instance. And finally, the fund isn't there to support everyday running costs, but where you can include these costs is during the project activity, the specific activity. So we couldn't pay, for instance, for all the heating bills for a venue, for instance. But if you were looking at using a venue space, your venue space, sorry, for 2 hours a week for 10 weeks, then you'd be able to account for those business running costs for quick maths, 20 hours. There you go. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are some things to consider when thinking about building a supporting grassroots music project application. The first thing is partnerships. So a key thing is basically partnerships with supporting grassroots music, identifying where those skills gaps and resource gaps are in your project and working with partners to fill them so they can offer more value. So for instance, if you're looking at talent development, a talent development program for sound engineers or lighting engineers, it's thinking about bringing in maybe industry professionals to work with those trainees, for instance, just so that they have a quality and a level of expertise that they can learn from. And if you're thinking about audience development, then that's considering working with organizations that regularly interact with the audiences that you're trying to target. So partnerships are quite important. Match funding. So supporting grassroots music will ask for 10% match funding. It doesn't have to be cash. It can be support in kind. So that is the value of something that maybe a partner would otherwise have asked for cash for. So if it was a £1,000 service and they were offering 50% support in kind, you would put that £500 down as support in kind for your project. That was just a quick whistle-stop tour of support in kind. I apologise, but yeah, there is lots more information on the Arts Council website. Just as we're talking about the budget for a second, one thing I always tell everybody is please only come in for what your project realistically needs. Don't see the £40,000 mark as something that you need to make it up to. Obviously, I said that the fund is really competitive. So if you want to do a pilot project, or you know that your project will cost X amount and it's not the top value, that's totally fine. If it does come to the top value, then that's totally fine also, but just don't see £40,000 as a benchmark to achieve. So where's the need? It's important that you're clear on the need for your project and how you've identified that. Otherwise, it's hard for supporting grassroots music to actually pinpoint what change that's going to make to the supporting grassroots music sector and what impact that's going to make. And that's the whole point of the fund. And following on from that, just be specific. So once you've found a need, then it's time to get specific on things. So for instance, if you were running a series of events at a venue and it was a new music genre that you wanted to introduce to that venue and to the audiences that interact with that venue, you might be thinking about, well, how many events are you going to be running? When will they run? Which promoters are you working with? How are you going to engage with the new audiences? Just be very specific and get down to that granular detail. And finally, as well, it's not on here, but just a couple of words about festivals. So supporting grassroots music, the fund's looking to support festivals, but more in a sense of part of a festival as opposed to funding the whole operational side of putting a festival on. So, for instance, there's been funding awarded in the past where there's been a festival for the community, but then as a smaller project within that has been allowing a stage to be developed where grassroots musicians were able to play and to take that next step and to perform to a larger audience and maybe get their experience of performing at a festival for the first time, or maybe taking that next step onto that next stage. Secondly, as well, on capital and equipment purchases. So this fund does support the capital and equipment purchases, but again, the need for these, and it is very important. And again, being very specific as to why you need these enhancements or these upgrades and why now is the right time for those. And as well as planning and writing your application around that purchase, Supporting Grassroots Music expects to see activity planned around that too. So if you were, again, if a venue was asking for a new lighting desk or something, we would expect to see some activity around that lighting desk or around putting on some shows, so a lot more people can benefit from it as opposed to just the venue having a new lighting desk and then just carrying on as usual. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. So the Arts Council does have priorities, and here are a list of them. So people underrepresented in Arts Council funding, places underrepresented in Arts Council funding and applicants that have not received Supporting Grassroots Music before. So people underrepresented in Arts Council funding, data shows that Black, Asian and ethnically diverse people and disabled people are underrepresented as recipients in our funding. For places, these include where applicants are based and where activity will take place as well. So you've got those two different things, both representing place. So these places in terms of priorities are the Arts Council's priority place list, which for Cumberland and Westmoreland, these are still in the old form. So it's still Copeland and Barrow and Furness. So towns within that remit are still classed as priority places. And first-time applicants. So we want our projects to fund and cover a broad range of music genres. I should have said that it's genre agnostic as well, so it's any music genre for this fund. And the fund also may prioritise applicants that haven't received Supporting Grassroots Music funding before. Next slide, please. So this is how to apply. So Supporting Grassroots Music used to be a part of National Lottery project grants. It's now outside of that programme, and there is a different application process. So these are the steps. So something I would strongly advise everybody to do is read the Supporting Grassroots Music guidance on the Arts Council website, which you can download and complete Form A, which is all about your project. And if you filled in an Arts Council application form before for project grants, then it's very similar to that with a few different questions. And then download and complete Form B, which is your basic information, which would be used for the monitoring form, for instance. And that, even if you have completed a profile before on previous funding portals, you will need to complete both Form A and Form B. And then you send it to Supporting Grassroots Music at artscouncil.org.uk. Next slide, please. This is the fancy table I was telling you about, which isn't fancy at all. It's basically a screen grab, but there you go. Right, so now Supporting Grassroots Music is outside of National Lottery project grants. We've now introduced rounds. So here is a set of deadlines and dates for when you'll receive your decision. We're now in round 2. So that closes on the 9th of October. So anything submitted to the email address I've just shown you and read out, you will receive a decision date on the 20th of November. If your application goes in after midday on the 9th of October, then it will automatically go into round 3, which the decision date is on the 11th of December. So we are working in rounds now, but that's just something to bear in mind, especially if you're planning a project. And again, it is competitive, so it's worth thinking about, if you're unsuccessful the first time, whether or not you're able to rework the dates if you wanted to come in again, and if that would still line up with these deadline dates. And next slide, please. So Arts Council do have an access support team as well. So if you're experiencing barriers to apply, then the Arts Council can help. So this is some ways that they can help is by providing information in another format or to help support you in the application process. So we do have a team, like I've just mentioned, and if you do want to get in touch with them for more information on access support, then the email address is access@artscouncil.org.uk, or you can get in touch at artscouncil.org.uk/contact. Separate to the access support, we also have personal access costs, which is something you can build into your own project. This isn't any different to the National Lottery project grant system if you're programme, if you're aware, if you're familiar with that. But if you or any of the core team delivering the project experience barriers because you or they identify as deaf or disabled, neurodivergent, experiencing learning difficulties, or having a mental health condition or long-term health condition, then you can put access costs into the application, and they won't be considered as part of the total application. So if your project was £40,000 and then you had £5,000 access costs on top of that, you wouldn't be going over the £40,000 eligibility, because our fund only goes up to 40,000. Those £5,000 personal access costs wouldn't be considered as part of that total. Next slide, please. Advice. Sorry, bear with me while there's a bit of a delay. Thank you. Yeah, so here's just some places you can get some advice. So artscouncil.org.uk is our main website. And we've got our customer services, enquiries at artscouncil.org.uk, and the generic Supporting Grassroots Music website, email address, sorry, which is supportinggrassrootsmusic@artscouncil.org.uk. That is where you can, that's your first port of call, but I'll give you my email address as well at the end if you want to get directly in contact with me. And just 2 more slides left. I know I mentioned earlier about the, next slide, please. I mentioned earlier about the Early Career Promoter Fund delivered by the PRS Foundation. So if you think there's a promoter, or you're a promoter who's taken their early steps as a promoter and they want to, you know, develop a new project, bring new music to audiences, then Early Career Promoter Fund be the first port of call, and then it's maybe likely that's your first experience with engaging with project funding. Then you can move on to supporting grassroots music if you like. But yeah, this is awards up to £3,500 for England-based independent promoters. And this successful applicants also receive wraparound support. So things like masterclasses and toolkits to help develop their skills as they develop and deliver their project as well as part of the fund. So yeah, next slide, please. Here is my email address. So tom.salmon@artscouncil.org.uk. Again, access support email address is there too, and the Arts Council website. So we are looking to encourage more Cumbrian applications from Cumbria, from those application types, those eligible applicant types, sorry, that I mentioned as part of this fund. So that's grassroots music venues, festivals, promoters, rehearsal studios, sector bodies, and recording studios. So it's not a guarantee that Cumbrian applications will get funded if they do apply, but it would be great to see more applications come through. So thank you for listening, and do let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Tom. Absolutely. Do if you've got any questions, shout out now. Although Tom's given us lots of ways of getting in touch with him and the Arts Council as well. Are there any good news stories, Tom, of any Cumbrian organisations or bands or singers or venues that have gained from this so far?
Yeah, so we recently funded the Coast Roads Festival down in Barrow. They received some funding for putting on grassroots music artists, so you know, local up and coming artists. So yeah, there's quite a few throughout the years of when the funding been around. Obviously, this one's running until March 2026. Beyond that, I can't. I don't know what the horizon looks like, so we're just working up to March 2026. So encouraging more applications to come through.
Great, and it must be nice to have all these things to look at, applications to look at. It must be a joyous job for you.
Yeah, well, you know, it's great to just be here and encourage lots more applications to come through. It is a national panel. There are lots of, you know, there's people and organisations from all around wanting to, you know, get the same amount of funding and get funding from the project. So it is competitive. Sorry, funding from the programme. So it is competitive. But yeah, in terms of Cumbria, would like to see some more.
Okay, great. Kate, question.
is a comment more than anything. I think it's a brilliant strand, and it's important that people know about it. Sometimes I act as an access support worker, and I also think that's a good thing. But one thing that I've learned from that is that if you are thinking about getting some access support, you need to build that into the front end of your thinking, because it takes time to get a response from the access support team. And then even when they get your application for access support, that takes time. So you have to sort of back time, not just for writing the application, but also getting a response from the access support team. It's not a criticism, it's just a fact. There's not many of them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, do allow that time, because things will take time.
Like weeks. So it's the whole thing takes a long time, but it's obviously worth doing. But you just need to know that.
Great.
Yeah,
One more last quick question from Colin.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of quick questions, Tom. We've got the deadline on applications and the announcement. Is there a deadline by which the activity or event has to take place, or would it be okay for spring, summer next year? And the other thing is the fund okay for using to actually pay performers and artists?
Yeah, and thanks for your questions, Colin. So you can deliver activity for up to 3 years in length. So if you were to apply, if you apply at the start of October, then 3 years, you have 3 years to deliver your project. So yeah, next summer will be totally fine. And yeah, something that I should have mentioned, I'm glad you've mentioned it. The Arts Council have a fair pay policy where they expect to see everyone who's taken part in projects to be paid fairly. And there'll be a question in the application to ask how the applicant is guaranteed that they've considered how artists are going to be paid. I keep saying paid fairly. Paid fairly. So yeah, definitely pay everyone, including as well yourselves. If you are the applicant and you are the person delivering the project, make sure you're paying yourself fairly as well.
Okay, wise words. We're going to ask you your age shortly, so just have that answered to your how old are you? Get ready for that survey. There's no higher praise, Tom, than from Derek Cannon. The presentation has no direct relevance for me, but it was most impressively constructed and delivered, for which all power to Tom's elbow. There is no higher praise on a Zoom call on a Friday morning than that from Mr. Derek Cannon. Congratulations,
Thanks,
Tom. How does that make you feel?
Fantastic. Yeah, great. Always good to get a positive response. But if you know anyone who does have direct relevance with Derek, please let them know about the fund. I appreciate it.
Excellent stuff. Lovely stuff. There's always lots of love on this call. Thank you very much, Tom. That's really, really good to get that across. And as I say, the recording of this call, where you've explained that really clearly, I concur with Derek. Will no doubt get picked up by people who can't make it on this Friday morning. So thank you very much for that. Right, Kate, I'm just warning you now, you've got 5 minutes rather than longer than that to do your turn about See It to Be It. But before we do that, Chris is going to ask us all how old we are. Chris, over to you. We are up against it time-wise.
Yes. So Tom's already mentioned this, but people have joined the call later. So this is to do with the See It to Be It project, which Kate is going to go into in a little bit more detail in a second. But See It to Be It is about engaging and promoting and supporting younger people in sustainable careers in Cumbria. So the aim is that over the next couple of years, more younger people get engaged in the cultural and heritage sector. So we need to have a baseline. We need to know, if we're saying more, where we're starting from. So one of the things we're doing is, as part of these Friday calls, we'll just do a very basic quick survey to get people's age ranges, so that over time we can see if indeed we are bringing more younger people in. We've got nothing against older people. It may shock you to know that some of us are over 30, and we're all about people of all ages. But in terms of the See It to Be It or SITB project, it's useful for us to know where we're starting from. So it's the first time I've done a Zoom poll, but hopefully this is going to work. This should bring up something for you, and you just click on the appropriate age range. And we're also asking gender, just to get these. Okay.
Oh, the suspense.
Hold on.
Stand by with your SITB stuff, Kate.
I'm absolutely ready.
Right, okay. It's all on Chris then. It's all on Chris.
There we go. Okay, can you see that? People seeing something called untitled poll.
Yes, we are.
Marvelous. Thank you very much. So click as appropriate, and I'll hand back to Kate.
Okay, at the same time, Chris, can you share my slides?
Yeah, just a second.
I apologise straight away to anybody who has already heard me say any of this, but I just want to start by introducing the See It to Be It project, which is a place partnership project funded by Arts Council England and also by Cumberland Council and Westmoreland and Fairness Council. So, what is See It to Be It? Well, it's about, as Chris just said, enabling more young people to develop creative careers in Cumbria. Next slide, Chris. By way of a refresher, I just want to remind you about the 3 things that we're aiming to do. The first one is to connect up and promote jointly all the things that are already happening across the sector and across the county to support young creatives, because there is a lot of work already happening. We just want to bring it together into one place, which will be the CACN website, where young people know how to find information about creative careers. The second aim is about increasing representation in education settings so that more children and young people understand what we mean by a creative career and are better able to follow that kind of pathway if they choose. The third aim is about is where the bulk of the budget is actually, and that is about creating more opportunities for young creatives to take those steps that help them establish a viable career. So that's about more commissions, more residencies, placements, traineeships, you name it, with our partners. And this is a partnership project. We will be delivering all kinds of new opportunities. So what are we doing right now? We are, I've just realised I can move the poll and I can see my own presentation. That's better. We are busy at the moment, recruiting to the CACN team, and we have just closed the doors on our first trainee opportunity. We've had 40 odd applicants for that. So that has been a bit of a job of work this week to get to sift through 40, I have to say, excellent applications. And we are really quite moved and excited by the range and quality of applications from young people who want to be part of this project. We've also advertised for freelance producers to work across all of the CACN programmes, and we've had another 40 odd applications for those. So it's been a busy week. And we'll keep you posted as we go through the recruitment process for that. Those are all freelance opportunities. We're also busy establishing our advisory group of young people who will shape the project as we move forward. So that opportunity is live now, and I'd really, the thing that you can do right now is tell anybody between the ages of 18 and 30 who you think might want to be on that panel. We will be paying people to be part of it. So they participants will receive a fee of £25 when they turn up for a meeting and be part of it. We've already had a number of really good applications, so I'm feeling optimistic about that too. We're busy mapping activity across the county so we can identify hotspots and cold spots and plan activity accordingly. We're developing our new website, seeit.cacn.co.uk, and we're busy preparing to start appearing at careers events with colleges and schools over the next couple of months and onwards. The other live opportunity is our new mentoring program for 18 to 30-year-olds under the under the See It to Be It banner. That opportunity is live as well, and we will in a moment put the link in the chat. So we're looking for 6 people to be part of that. Again, please point that opportunity in the direction of young creatives who might benefit from that kind of intensive support over the next 6 months. Next slide, please. I think there is one. Yes, there is. So yes, please tell young creatives about the project.
30 seconds, Kate.
Yes, I'm don't slow me down. Well, liking and sharing the updates is one thing that you can do. Tell us about opportunities that you are creating for young creatives so that we can pull them into our hub. And let us know about any careers events that you think we might want to turn up to. And last of all, please use the hashtag #SeeItToBeIt Next and final slide should say contact us on hello@CACN if you've got any bright ideas or want to comment. Thank you.
Great. All on track then? All going well?
Yeah, it's mad busy, but excitingly so, and really positive that we've had such a high quality response for the traineeships in particular. It's good to know that we are getting some messages out in the right direction. So
And
yeah,
quite a big response to the freelance producer vacancy, I think, as well, isn't there?
both. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
good.
Great. Thank you very much indeed. And we'll come back to that, if not before, in a month's time to see how progress has been made there. Smashing. Well, we're going to conclude the last 15 minutes of this lovely call with hearing from Phil, who's there under the guise of Signal staff, I do believe. And also from Phil, are you watching telly there in the corner? Or was that something else just on the screen behind you as part of the exhibition? Phil's on mute. You're just on mute there, Phil, so come off mute. And we're going to hear from Lauren, who helps run Signal as well. As I said, big developments at Signal. I'm not going to steal any thunder. Hello, Phil. Lauren, over to you to tell us the Signal story and what's happened, and also great exhibitions that have opened in the last week or so. Over to you. We'll get your slides up.
Hi, thanks, Tom. Okay, so I'm just going to say a few words about. Hi, everyone, and thanks again for inviting us, Tom, to talk about the new spaces and the exhibitions. I'm just going to say a few words about Signal, and then I'll say a bit about the big refurbishment project that we just undertook, and then Phil's going to do the second half and talk about, in particular, the two exhibitions that we have on that are celebrating the opening of the refurbishment. So yeah, so for any of you who don't know, I'm Lauren and I'm one of the directors at Signal. We're based in Barrow in Furness, and we also manage the Cooke's building. That's a home to other creative organisations and community organisations. We've got the Theatre Factory in there, who are brilliant, and we've also got the Furness Multicultural Community Forum and Sir John Fisher Foundation, and then we have lots of other regular community groups who use the other facilities there. So yeah, so just to let you know what Signal do. So we're an Arts Council NPO. We're a digital arts charity, and we provide opportunities in photography, filmmaking, digital arts, media, and heritage as well. And everything that we do is free, and our offer ranges from, like after-school animation clubs to courses for young people. And we also commission and put on exhibitions as well. So the three main things that we do. Firstly, we have a lot of work around, a bit like SITB, we're about getting people into the creative sector, young people and people of all ages as well, actually. These are just two images from two of our key courses. So one of them is our BFI Film Academy, which runs every year in partnership with Home and Fact in Liverpool, working with people aged 16 to 25 to break into film. And we also run an artist development lab. Every year we work with around 15 creatives across Cumbria. It's brilliant. I think Chris Dennett, you were maybe part of that once. Yeah, really, really great. The other thing that we do is we commission artists to create work in Barrow, and also to then show the work as well. And this is obviously key to our new gallery. You can pop onto the next screen, actually, Chris, as well, which just shows another of our commissions. And often the work that's produced in Barrow is made in partnership with local people, and very often the artworks that are created have a life outside of Signal as well and go on to tour. And this piece in particular is shown in lots of other places in the UK now as well, which is very exciting. And then the last slide about Signal, I'm just whizzing through this, guys, because I know we're a bit tight for time, is a really, really, really big part of what we do is around breaking down barriers for people to engage with art. So a lot of people, our main goal is to work with people very often who don't have the opportunity to take part in cultural activities, or perhaps haven't thought that it's something for them. So we do a lot of participatory art projects where an artist will work with us and people in the community of different ages, and they'll work together to create their own artworks for exhibition. That's a big part of what we do. And of course, Tom also mentioned as well our Sankey photography archive, which is, I'll put the link in actually for you, for those of you who haven't seen it, but it's a really great heritage resource, but we use it as well as a brilliant engagement tool for those first steps into looking at cultural activities. And that's nearly all volunteer led now, which is amazing. So anyways, what I was going to mainly talk about is the Cooke's building refurbishment. Again, I'm going to have to whiz through this so that Phil can talk about the actual exhibitions. But yeah, so the Cooke's building is on Abbey Road in Barrow in Furness, and the picture on the left there is actually from the Sankey Photographic Archive, which is lovely. We have a picture of it back in the early 1900s when it was a department store, Victorian department store. And if you could stay on the slide we were on, sorry, Chris. So yes, and we took on the building in I was going to say 1907 then, it feels like 1907. We took on the building in 2007. And at that time it was completely derelict. It had been empty for years and years and years, and it was actually pretty much falling apart. That's the picture on the right there. And we raised funding from the government at that time to do up the building, to create this home for creative and cultural organisations. It took us it was a nightmare. It took us about 4 years to do up the building between 2007 and 2011. You can move on to the next slide now. Thanks, Chris. And it was brilliant. We did it up, and we had great spaces for the individual tenants. So the 4 different cultural organisations that were in there had their own spaces and could put on work in their own spaces. But what the building didn't have was that kind of feel of being a sort of shared cultural creative hub kind of space. And for any of you who had visited in the past, the worst thing about it was the access. It was really hard to kind of get into the building and then to navigate your way around and find out what was going on in the building. So as soon as you opened the door, you saw this horrible staircase, and yeah, the access had always been a problem for us. Anyways, we put up with it for 12 years, and then we decided that it just wasn't working for us anymore. We wanted it to be as easy as possible for people to access art. For that, we also wanted them to find it as easy as possible to access the blooming buildings that were putting on the art activities. So we set about fundraising again. And so first of all, we managed to find funding raise funding from the Arts Council for 490,000. We actually got that granted to us in about 2022 or 23. And at the time, that money would have paid for a lot, almost like twice as much as it did when we finally got to the build. So when we finally got to the build in end of 2024, the middle of 2024, we realized we needed more funding. So we then applied to the Community Assets Fund run by the government, and we managed to raise an extra 910,000. And then with match funding, we made the budget up to 1.5 million. And I won't get into that, but it was an absolute nightmare, the funding with the government. It happened to be the crossover between Tories and Labour. It got lost in the mix, like literally they couldn't find anything to do with it. We had to, make our MP go and sit outside the flipping office of the person running it to make sure that we got the money, and it was just a nightmare. Anyway, we finally got the money, and then they said you have to spend all the money by June 2025. So we had like 8 months or something to do the whole build. But we managed to get some fantastic architects on board, Bauman Lyons. And the idea of the design was to make the whole of the 3 kind of different Victorian department buildings look like one whole building, and open out the whole of the ground floor so that you have a lovely entrance in the middle, easy to go into a nice welcome space, and it's very clearly signposted. To the left, you have the big, to the right, you have the big gallery space. To the left, you have the offices. To the back, you have the access to all the tenants. And you know, the architects did a really brilliant job on the money that we had, because actually there was quite a lot of structural stuff that needed doing, considering it was such an old building. So now you enter into the central bay. It's an automatic door, which is very exciting. So it's very easy for people to come inside. And so this is the middle bay that has the welcome space and a reception desk. We have our lovely heritage Sankey wall, which will be permanent, Tom, but the volunteers rotate the images and the pictures and the exhibitions that are shown in the heritage wall. So there's always something new and exciting happening. And we also use this space for showing the artworks that have been produced as part of all of the courses and workshops that we do. And also the other tenants in the building can use that space as well. So that's really exciting. And there is room. We have a kitchen and a cafe there ready to go. So we're actually going to be looking for someone to run the kitchen and the cafe. So if anybody knows anybody, please get in touch. So we're really excited about that new addition to the building. And then this is an image of, to the right, we have the gallery space, which has been refurbished. So it's now can take touring exhibitions as well. It's got all the high standard stuff, which is really exciting. And we also have, the new office spaces, and of course, really great signage throughout the building as well. So I could waffle on for ages, but this is the exhibitions that we were going to talk about. So you can perhaps whiz through these, Chris, because we'll get on to Phil because there's not enough time. So we've got two big exhibitions on to mark the opening of the building. One of them is with Chris Killip, a photographer, and the other one is the Miners' Strikes, which is in partnership with Martin Parr Foundation upstairs. So I will stop now so that Phil has chance to talk about the two exhibitions. Sorry, that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but I was aware that the time was going down. So Phil, who is the curator at Signal, he's worked with us for, about, how long is it now, Phil? 8 years? 10 years?
Yeah, 8 years.
500 years?
That seems like that, yeah.
Phil's just going to say a bit about the brilliant exhibitions that we've got on at the moment. Thank you.
Hello, morning. So the two exhibitions we've got on at the moment is sort of like part of our refurbishment and our landscape and protest program. So we've got Chris Killer, Askham in Furness. Get the next slide, please, Chris. So this is his body of work from 1975 to 1985, a 10-year project he embarked upon, which was documenting the deindustrialisation of the north of England. So during a period of 1982, which was Easter 1982, he came and visited Askham, which was the only place, well, two places on the west coast that he actually visited and documented. A little tiny bit of Whitehaven and mainly Askham. All the rest was based on the northeast, Skinning Grove, Seacole, Tyneside. So we'd always wanted to put this exhibition. Well, a friend of mine, Lee, he had photographed him in 1982 when he was a boy, and we'd shown that picture at Signal and at the Dock Museum, and we've always thought we wanted to put on Askham in Furness, which is quite a substantial part of his archive. So we've just been working on it for the last few years, really, not full time, but nipping into it, getting it sorted out. So it's quite an important body of work. He's one of the most important photographers, post-war documentary photographers. Oh, sorry, I'll just go back to this image. So the archive is broken down in three ways. So Chris's archive is print, what he printed at the time. He's sadly not alive, he died in 2020. And then there's the printed archive, which is physical archive, and there's a digital archive which he scanned, which was part of it. And then there's what we call the community archive, which we've been sort of involved with, which is he gave a lot of images to people at the time when he was based in Askham, and they kept them all and everything else. So we've gathered that. We had like coffee afternoons, and all these images came together. They had them in albums. So we've displayed them with the permission of the Chris Killip Photography Trust. So this is one of the ones which was from the community archive. You can see it's been written on at the bottom there, Askham Beach. Photographers don't usually write on the front of their photographs. So this is the main exhibition we have at Cooke's Signal at the moment, but we also have one upstairs, which is 1 year photographs from the miners' strike, which is like a survey of all the press. So this is John Sturrock photograph. We have the Brenda Prince. We have Chris Killip's in there as well. We have like ephemera. We've got Margaret Thatcher spitting image dog toys, Arthur Scargill toilet rolls, Margaret Thatcher dartboard, all the badges. We've got the records. So it's just a survey show. It's been touring around. It was provided by Isaac Blues, who curated for the Martin Parr Foundation. And so this is the last place it will be shown. And then it will be, these are the guys from the community, the Askham community guys with their images. This was a letter that Chris sent. He originally came to Askham in 1981, but he had a leak in his film changing bag, and all his work was destroyed, so he had to come back in 1982. This letter's describing that process, and this is Ian, who's actually doing a walk with people today around Askham. We've been doing some community walks. Like last Friday, we were fortunate to take a lot of people around Askham. We had Mary Killip, Chris's wife, who was in the UK from America. And this is one of the community groups. We did a project called In the Footsteps of Chris Killip, where we had a school group working with analog cameras, which they were, they'd never done before. We're quite fascinated by in some respects. Only had 24 shots. I just keep telling them that. So we're doing some ongoing projects. We've got another project with photographer Phil Green, where I'm going to do some more outreach work with various communities. This is the Joseph Doubtfire work, which was the culmination of that In the Footsteps of Chris Killip. Yeah, sorry, is that about right? I was just trying to rush through that then.
No, you get a real flavour of the exhibition there. You've done a brilliant job, and I think I loved that sort of snapshot in time sense of the Askham 1982 exhibition. That first photograph you showed of the 4 cows walking past the clothes shop.
Yeah.
You have to really spot the 4th cow, and then suddenly you realise it's looking at you from its eye, and just the tiny details that he captures, and all the people, and somehow it's as if they're frozen in time at this sort of pivotal moment of sort of decay or change, whatever you want to call it, that the place was going through. It's a beautifully curated, I must say, exhibition, and some really huge images that really strike you at this pivotal moment in the history of Signal as well. As it's just gone through this beautiful and quite speedy, by the sound of things, development. And well done for getting your MP to sit outside the office to get the money. Sometimes you need to do that, don't you? So congratulations to Lauren, to Phil, and to Derek, and to all the other staff at Signal. It really is a beautiful place to visit, and it'd be interesting to see how you go with the cafe and what sort of start coffees and cakes you start delivering there as well. And it was the words of congratulations that were said at the opening last week as well, I thought were just very poignant, and the lady at the end, what was her name? Is she one of your what is she one of your what's her role?
She started out as one of our volunteers, and then she became our Sankey expert.
Okay.
She's a local historian, I guess, and
you can tell how much this means, all this stuff means to people that real Barrovians and people that have moved to Barrow. It's important stuff, and well done to the Arts Council for supporting you as well, and the other Barrow, is it Barrow Bid that helped the guy from, what was the other sort of Barrow organisation that helped support with finance?
We had the CEO there from Team Barrow.
Team Barrow, that's the one.
Yeah.
So lots of stakeholding conversations that have to take place to make all this stuff happen at the same time. But congratulations, and thank you very much for sharing it with us this morning. I'm quite looking forward to going back again when there's no one there. Actually, I can just enjoy the photographs quietly.
They're really amazing photographs. It's nice to spend time in the space, just sitting and being with them.
Yeah.
It was quite an honour, actually, wasn't it, Phil, to be hanging the work and
they all are,
spending time deciding where the images went. And he printed them himself, and they're very, very beautiful images. So it was.
Yeah. Where's that one? Where's that big one of the cow? There it is. That one of the cow. the 4 cows. I just love that photograph. And all the little detail of what's hanging up in the shop window, and what sort of mood the cows are in as they're going to be milked or whatever. It's fantastic, really fantastic.
That still
Right.
happens.
Say again, Phil.
That still happens. The cows still go past the co-op to get milk.
Is that right?
Still
Fantastic.
yeah.
And great for getting the kids involved, and great for getting the kids to understand that sometimes you only had 24 shots on a film. You couldn't waste them on your phone.
Yeah, they were trying to look at where the picture was when they'd taken it and turning the cameras round, and we were like, you can't see it yet. It was great fun.
Brilliant stuff. Right, this morning I'm just conscious we're slightly over time. Thank you.